And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts, and on radio stations worldwide, right there for you at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Inside Sports Fantasy Football, we'll be covering the NFL Draft and the winners and losers for you as soon as it becomes available. We'll do that for you on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Plus, also as well, Joe Sorrell. He is on his way. He is on a business call. A business call is for Simblades, his company that he owns, Simblades with Y.com. Plus, also, he is Ox1947, LakersBall.com. What's up, cool bro? What's up, Jay? It's Jay. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, support him. Yo. Also, as well, Lakerholics crew of Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet at Lakerholics.com, plus Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, and John McCallion as well. And of course, John Costa. He can be found at Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk as well. Please support all these great channels right there for you. Plus, also support our channel by liking, following, and subscribing today. We need every subscriber we can get. I was checking out some of these other Laker channels. Some of them just don't have the kind of good stuff that we bring to you on a regular basis, 300 plus days a year. And they have more subscribers. I'm going, what the heck's up with that? So we need to go ahead and get the kind of support that you can give us by subscribing and following today right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. MVita916 says, Gerald, I want to beat these Nuggets so bad. They are so cocky. You're right. They have got all the confidence in the world. So wouldn't it be nice if the Lakers just walked right up, and with a smile on their face, blindsided them and smacked them in the face right back? And wouldn't that be nice if the Lakers did that? And you know what? They might. There are some different things this time around that may come into play that might help the Lakers. And hopefully Joe and I will be able to talk about that as soon as he gets off the phone and hops right here with us here at the Lakers Fast Break. Until Wild, great to have you back, my friend. Everybody was worried. They were going to put out an APB for you, man. They were talking about putting your face on a milk carton, just like, where is Rob Pelinka? Where is Intel Wild? There you go. Man, let's go. Is Ham going to destroy us against Denver? I hope not. I hope not. I hope he will make calculated, good decisions that will help the ball team win, or at least put them in a competitive place that the Lakers do have a chance to go ahead and pull out this first round series. That's all I can ask, is that the Lakers are put in a good position, and then it's up to execution by the guys involved. So we'll see. Again, great to have you here. I hope everything is okay with you, cool bro. I know it's been really tough because of the loss in your family. Again, our deepest condolences here at the Lakers Fast Break. Stay strong. You are the man of the house and the man of the family, cool bro. So you stay strong for your family, my friend. I know you can do it, and we're behind you 110%. Even though your Angels aren't behind you, you know we've got your back right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Intel Wild, thank you so much again for the super chat. We are winning game one. You heard it here first. I was talking to Joe the other day about that. I know we weren't on yesterday, and I apologize for that. Joe was too busy, and I just didn't think I wanted to go ahead without him, because it is so important to go ahead and talk about this as a group, but together. In fact, tomorrow I've got a group, hopefully I can get going here from the East Coast and the Midwest. I've got L Rob at least joining me tomorrow. He said, Gerald, I've got to come back on the show. And I said, L Rob, you may indeed always, my friend. The invitation's always open. So he said he needs an early time, and I'm going to do that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Friday, as we preview not only the Lakers, but all the weekend games, or at least the ones that have been decided up to that point. So we'll go ahead and make sure we take care of that for you as well. But Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, thank you also for the super chat. We are revenge sweeping them. You guys have got the right spirit. And you know us. We always try to tell you like it is. And we always sometimes come off as Debbie Downer, sometimes a little negative, realistic, whatever you want to call it. But you know what? I'm not feeling so bad about this. I know Robert Wheeler, he had always talked to me over the past couple weeks. He said, what would it take you to come over to our side? The light side of the force, per se. What would it take? Well, I said, first of all, they got to win on the road trip, their last big road trip of the year. And they did that, 5-1. They've got to go ahead and consistently prove that they can win on the road. They have, and they did. Not winning just one, but winning 2 games. Very important games that New Orleans in both games tried very hard. And they won those both on the road. So I'm getting more convinced, more and more convinced. Do I still, since I'm here in Vegas, if I was objective about it, think that Denver's still a favorite? Yes, you've got to. They're the defending champions. They're the number 2 seed. They're the ones who have been resting up this entire week. I get that. But with what I've seen from Denver this year, what I've seen of the Lakers this year, there are some key elements that may allow the Lakers to be much more competitive in this series than what we've seen in the past 9 games against Denver, because they've owned us. Let's just put it out there. Let's just be honest. The Denver Nuggets have owned us in the past 9 games, but that could change. One team is not going to be able to beat another team double digits in a row. I don't believe with so much on the line. I do not think the Lakers will lose 4 times in a row again. I firmly believe that the Lakers will win at least something here in this playoff round. How much? Yet to be determined. But if Intel Wild is right and they take game 1, this entire complexion of the playoffs for the Lakers and the Nuggets change, in my opinion, because now you have the Nuggets. The chip has been taken off their shoulder. The talk and the rhetoric have now been taken off. They've been put back. They now have to focus, and they now have to realize that they're in a fight. And that's what you need to put them to. You need to put them on their butt. You need to kick their ass on at least one occasion early on to get them thinking, to put some doubt in their mind. They haven't had anyone, not even the Phoenix series where they lost 2 games out of 6. They didn't have a doubt that they were going to win that series. So you know what? We're going to go ahead and get the job done. And I'll tell you, part of the reason why is because of what we see from them when it concerns their bench. I had a discussion with Magic Man at the beginning of the season. I don't know if some of you remember it at all or recall it, but we had an argument. Actually, it led to a very strongly worded argument in regards to him defending and supporting the bench and thinking that they were vastly improved, the bench for the Denver Nuggets, where I said the Denver Nuggets without Jeff Green and without Brown, not quite as good. You're relying on a lot of young players to get you by. And it's looked like so far you've gotten a very uneven mix of support over the course of the season from their bench. Peyton Watson, sure, at times he's been a really good defender along the wing. Sure, at times Christian Brown has looked like the guy that did where he played in the finals. At times Reggie Jackson has looked like the Reggie Jackson of old, but they have not been able to sustain it and put it together consistently coming off the bench. Now, Denver hasn't needed it for the most part because Denver has been really good, but just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. The other key to me is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, whatever mind block about playing these European centers, if there is any, he needs to get rid of it. He needs to dominate. He needs to play mano a mano, needs to stay out of foul trouble, and needs to go ahead. And while Jokic, you can't really stop from getting his 30 and 13 and whatever many assists. You know what? AD has to match that 30 and 13 and match it with block shots. And he can do that. if he wants to. He can do that if he tries hard. Now, I'm going to talk about this with Joe. I really want to go ahead and say that on Tuesday, I don't know if you guys know, if anybody of you out there have back problems, I have herniated discs. I take care of my back as best I can, but about I'd say about 7-8 years ago now, I was diagnosed with 2 herniated discs, and I can see one coming out with the pus and stuff, yucky stuff coming out of it. That was nasty looking. The other one was not looking too. So I'll save this argument, but yes, in regards to Anthony Davis, we'll go ahead and discuss that in a minute. But here today to discuss the Lakers and the Nuggets. He's a good friend indeed. You know him, you love him. He is the guy behind Oxide247 at LakersBall.com, plus also Lakers Nightcap with Joe Sorrell, which you'll see on Saturday night. It is Joe Sorrell. And Joe, great to have you back. You and I were both busy yesterday, so we couldn't really do a show, and I apologize already for that. Intel Wild is back in the groove with us in the chat. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights as well. Again, our condolences to Coolbro on the loss and his family. I know everything as far as that's concerned. You're going to be very strong for your family going forward, but everybody is in the chat saying howdy to you, my friend. But the Lakers, the thing I like the most about this chat so far, Joe, is that everybody is a little bit more optimistic. And I started off with the bench play as possibly being a key where the Lakers may find some sort of advantage because the inconsistent bench play, which I argued with Magic Man months ago on, but I recently heard him on the nightcap the other day saying, you know what, they're not as good as he expected, which I knew all along, which is good. It's advantageous for the Lakers, and they may be able to go ahead and take advantage of that in this first round.
The bench?
The bench play from not our bench per se, but taking advantage of an inconsistent bench for the Denver Nuggets.
I don't know what that is. It seems like that's the ongoing discussion with Denver. I don't know if they're saying
because they don't have Brown and they don't have Jeff.
Okay, let's get real here. Brown was ridiculously overrated last year in his involvement on why the Nuggets won. He helped, but Jesus Christ, guys, come on. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Jokic, Jamal Murray, they were the ones that did what they did. KCP, in my opinion, was more impactful last year against the Lakers than Bruce Brown was.
He's playing top flight defense this year.
That's good for him. But in the end, the Lakers couldn't make a shot, couldn't stop Jamal Murray, couldn't stop Michael Porter Jr. this year, couldn't stop Aaron Gordon. Bruce Brown was an integral part here and there, but I'm not going to put. Look, he wasn't playing for Denver this year, and they lost all 4 games, or was it 3?
For what?
This year, the Lakers played him 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times they lost.
Yeah. So what does that mean? What did Bruce Brown do this year for Denver? Nothing. Lakers have a problem with the Denver Nuggets, and it's not Bruce Brown. The problem is when they stop Jamal Murray and contain. I'm saying contain Jokic. That doesn't mean they're stopping him. Can't stop MVPs. Contain him to some degree. The other guys pull their weight. Then, when it's crunch time, the stars do what they do. It's the Laker formula, folks. We've seen this how many times being Laker fans? It's not that complicated. It's just that they're wearing Denver Nuggets jerseys now. If the Lakers want to win this series, first thing needs to happen is every starter needs to pull their weight, just like Denver starters do. And then if you can get some good defense from Gabe Vincent, much like Bruce Brown last year, and maybe a couple of shots here and there, and then, of course, Spencer Dinwiddie, using his veteran leadership, whatever it is, and Jackson Hayes filling in at least 10, 12 minutes for Anthony Davis, then at that point you can say this is a 7 to 8 man rotation that's going to go into this series and give this team a chance. But crunch time play, which is something the Lakers have been kind of 50-50 on all year. They've been really bad against great teams, or I should say very, very good teams. They've been bad at, are going to have to change here against Denver. This series is not going to change anyone's legacy in terms of the negative, but it can change legacies in the positive. Meaning, if LeBron and AD win this series, and they go on to, let's say, win it all, there is going to be a statue of LeBron James outside the crypt. AD, probably not. You probably need to get a couple more before he retires. But the positive is going to be big should they make it. And if LeBron and AD and the Lakers shock the world and win this series and go on to win, they have to win it all, unfortunately. They can't just beat Denver and then lose in the Western Conference Finals. They go on to win this after all that's gone on. LeBron James is probably sitting right next to Michael Jordan at that point, and you can't argue it anymore. It's over. Like, that argument is no longer a discussion. It would be out of this realm of comprehension on how this would have happened.
Yeah, going from a 10th place to a world championship in a matter of, what, 6 weeks?
You're talking about you're talking about a conference that had a team with a winning record sitting on the 11th spot. This was a highly competitive conference, one of the most competitive conferences I can remember since 2010. 2010, the Lakers had to go through all 50 win teams to get to the title. And they played a Celtic team that was ridiculously good. They just ran out of gas at the perfect time for the Lakers. They were just able to muster a little bit more fuel out of their tank and were able to crunch that up. And we've talked about how Ron Artest was the biggest acquisition that they could have made that offseason. Trevor Ariza helped them win in 2009. Trevor Ariza's agent and Trevor Ariza helped the Lakers win in 2010, because if Trevor Ariza was nice and his agent wasn't greedy, he would have stayed in LA and the Lakers would have lost that series without Ron Artest.
Once again, it is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. It's a late night Lakers snack pack. We're talking the Lakers and Nuggets, first round of the NBA playoffs, which starts Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Follow it along with us, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. And of course, the pregame, postgame, nightcap, all that fun stuff you can find right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Joe, one of the things I was getting along with the crowd on in regards to Anthony Davis as you came on was, again, as someone who has back problems like I do, I noticed very clearly, or I can see very clearly, when somebody is having issues with their back. And Sunday, whatever terrible play that supposedly Larry Nance did to him, I just think he just pushed him in the wrong place slightly, and that tweaked his back to the point where he started getting back spasms. You could tell, Joe, as someone, again, who has had back problems, you can tell when somebody is hurting in their back and they're trying to gut it out and play. That was AD on Tuesday. You obviously saw he was not playing like himself, just did not have the extension, could not jump, could not run fully. It's very debilitating, but he says he's going to be 100% come game time. How worried are you about AD's condition heading into the series?
I'm worried about AD's performance against good, big players. He's not been very well lately. He's been getting beat up by Sabonis, Embiid, Jokic. Heck, even Nurkic was jacking him up pretty bad out in Phoenix in a game. I don't know how he's going to perform against Jokic at the moment. If I'm looking at current history, it's not good. It's not.
He was hurting on Tuesday. I can tell you that.
Yeah, he was hurting. He did loosen up a little bit towards the end, because you could tell he was going after balls a little bit more aggressive towards the end. Might have gotten a little loose. But at the beginning, he looked like he was stiff.
It just prevents you when you have back issues or you have
can't
your
play when you
thing.
have a back issue. It's
It,
very
it's just
yeah.
hard. You can't extend. You can't
No,
jump. You can't do a
no,
lot.
and it's there's a mental part of it too. It messes you up mentally. Talk to Larry Bird about back problems, and I'm
Steve
sure
Nash.
Steve Nash. I'm sure they'll tell you how debilitating and how it changes your mental state. Back problems affect everything in your life. Everything. You can't really sit down correctly. You can't lay down correctly. You lay on the side, it hurts. You lay on this side, it hurts. You lay straight. You sit on this. It doesn't matter how you sit. You get uncomfortable.
I know this all too well, my friend.
Yes. And if you've, thank God I don't have any back problems, but I have strained my back doing
I have
stupid stuff like
two
lifting heavy
herniated
crap.
discs.
Yeah.
Two herniated discs. So yes, it is something I treat tenderly and carefully because if I overwork it, I am just like AD. I can barely walk at times when I overwork my back. And that, believe me, it is something that I saw clearly with him. But you're right, it kind of loosened up a little bit, but still he was not the AD that we've seen. But he was very confident it'll get worked on. He'll be able to get some rest on it. And with 3 days off in between, Joe, I think that might be enough. I've been pretty good, almost 100% sometimes after having these issues. There, when you have your bad back days, Joe, you can. It sometimes takes a little while longer, but sometimes you'd be 2-3 days. So there's a possibility AD could be close to 100% come Saturday.
If AD isn't all-star champion AD, there's really no chance the Lakers of winning this series. They're going to need his defense, and they're going to need his defense in another level. And they're also going to need him to not miss those chippies. There really can't be any bad basketball.
Same thing with LeBron. You can't miss those layups.
LeBron's missed layup issue has been creeping up a little bit here the last few weeks. There needs to be. I wish they would. Again, I don't know what the deal is with these guys and the contact at the basket, but there needs to be some kind of training and dealing with contact at the basket and making those shots. Denver will make them pay if they miss those shots, especially consistently. But the shots, honestly, the big shots are going to be coming from the perimeter guys like D'Angelo and Austin. And, of course, Rui Darvingham needs to make sure that he doesn't sit him too. I mean, you can't. If Rui's playing 36 minutes in a game, you can't really say he's not playing enough minutes. That's 3/4 of the game. That's normal. But it's when and how. I guess that's what's going to be important here. But it's gonna come down to AD. It's gonna come down to probably AD really playing what we need him to play, which he hasn't been doing against Denver in a while.
We'll see, my friend. But again, LeBron also, we've been seeing him like on Tuesday, great in that first half, Joe, started to fade, started to come up short on those drives, which you and I want him to drive to the basket. That's when we feel he's at his best. But when he comes up short on those drives, as he tires out, these are things that he wasn't doing as a younger man. But now that he's close to 40, it's a reality out there for people that when he gets tired and in that thin air, Joe, that's important that he finishes and follows through on his layups and make those gimmies when he has them.
So this is an issue. I remember vividly 2 of those 4 games last year in the playoffs where Denver, Floyd Mayweather Jr., the Lakers, knowing that they were going to run out of gas in the end, and they pounced on it. The Lakers have to get shooting from the main guys. They have to make their shots, and they have to make their shots all through the game. They can't be making them in the first half. They take a 13, 14-point lead, and then they start missing in the third quarter. LeBron's been going to the basket because there's a threat. They don't want to, drop coverage so that they don't lose out with D'Angelo and Austin hitting wide open shots. There's a give and take. You have to kind of pick your poison when it comes to that, right? So LeBron can get to the basket and is effective. If you get AD the ball deep enough into the paint, there's usually good things there, especially if it's a pick and roll type situation where you can get him an alley-oop dunk. But D'Angelo, Rui, and Austin have to hit their shots, and they have to hit their shots at a 40% clip every game in this series. If they don't, it's going to be a problem. The only way the Lakers lose this series, should those three hit their shots and LeBron does what he does and AD does what he does, is that Michael Porter Jr. doesn't miss a shot for 15 shots. Like in, I think it was it the last game that he did that?
It was the Kobe. Wasn't it the Kobe statue day?
Yeah.
I think that was it.
Correct. It's not, I don't see Michael Porter Jr. having that kind of game again, but he's going to make those shots more than not. So you're going to have to keep up with it. They're very good. It's in Denver. You have an advantage here, and to some degree that you're facing Denver now because the first rounds usually are extended in terms of rest time, which means you're not going to be as tired as you might be maybe in the second round or the third round after a grueling series. I have no feel for this series at all. I have no idea which way it's going to go.
I think the Lakers got to take one in Denver, most likely game one.
They have to take one in Denver. And I actually think they have to take game one. I don't think it cannot be a game one close game and then Denver. There's going to be a mental drain if they don't get game one.
Bag and Dragon, that's just exactly what we were talking about. Because of the back spasms on Sunday that he started getting, Tuesday, you could tell he was playing at a hurt level because as we were talking about, when you have back problems like that, you're just not able to do the things you normally can't do. Trust me, I know this all too well. But he did say after the game, he was going to get enough rest, and he felt very strongly that he was going to be 100% for Saturday at 5:30. I think he'll get enough work on it, Joe. I think he'll be close. I don't think he'll be 100%. Again, it takes usually 3 to 5 days before you finally feel normal after a situation like that. At least that's what usually is for me. But I think there's a chance with enough work on it, he can feel pretty good and give us the kind of effort that we need.
When he's been healthy, he's been struggling. If he's not going to be healthy, it's not a good sign that he's going to play well.
What if he gets Jokic in foul trouble early?
He won't. Jokic is too slow of a player, too methodical to get into foul trouble. You'd have to get Jokic would have to guard AD deep in the post, and AD would have to get him to commit to fakes and stunts and things like that. I don't see Jokic falling for that. He's probably just going to let AD score because his value is on the other side of the floor. Mm-hmm. He can dictate, and he can run an offense like a Bill Walton or like a Arvydas Sabonis in his prime. That's really what Arvydas Sabonis would have been had he came to America quicker from Lithuania.
Have you actually seen the footage from, well, I forget which year he was in the 1990, early 90s was far as, when he was.
Remember, he was on the team that beat the 88 American
exactly.
team.
Yeah,
Look, I'm not saying this because I'm a prisoner in that moment. If Arvydas Sabonis had come to Portland in 1992, I know Kevin Duckworth had a lot of value on that team, but he's not Arvydas Sabonis. He was never.
We would have been talking about him like we are talking.
There would have very likely would have been there's a very good chance that the Bulls don't win the championship that year. Now, Jordan could have went into supersonic mode and figured it out, probably. But you put Arvydas Sabonis in his prime on that Portland team, No one, no matter what era it is, looks at a player like that and says he won't do well. Arvydas Sabonis would have been a great player in any era in the NBA. Why? Because he was a team first guy, could pass out the post, could shoot free throws for a big man, and was a chemistry gem. The guy didn't screw anything up there. He was a total team guy. So imagine him. That's Nikola Jokic in present time. They move the same way. The only thing is Arvydas had a bigger head than Jokic does. That's it. Other than that, their games are pretty much identical. And I don't know if the Lakers can stop Denver. They're going to have to outgun them, which means AD has to play superstar AD. Otherwise, there's no chance the Lakers are going to win the series. LeBron can only do so much before he gets tired. His game is getting to the basket, folks. Yes, he's shooting better this year, but his game is getting to the basket. He affects the game greatly when he can get to the basket and get to the basket late in the game. When he can't get to the basket late in the game, the opposing team has got you by the throat.
So I want to ask you this. You and I have definitively, and I mean definitively, all season long said, you know what? There's not a chance. Not a chance at all the Lakers were going to get by the Nuggets. And we've been saying that for virtually the entire year. Then in the last couple of weeks, certain things, when they went on that 9 out of 10 streak, when they won 2 games in New Orleans, kind of gets you thinking a little bit. And like you just said now, just a few minutes ago, you said you have no good read on this series, which is a lot bigger step than what you and I were thinking. And I agreed with you. I'm very unclear on exactly who I would bet right now. In fact, I'd probably lay my bets off right now. And I am in Vegas where I can make the bets. Sorry, Jonte Porter. But again, where it's just, I'm not sure exactly what I cannot definitively say either which way it's going to go. And I think that's a big step in the right direction for the Lakers, Joe.
A lot of the reason why I can't gauge this is there's a thought process of I'm a Laker fan and I have to think that this team can win, but I'm also thinking how are you going to beat Denver? They're the best team in the NBA. That's the battle.
Rui and the guards have to shoot well. They have to shoot well in order for them not to go ahead and just hammer down on LeBron and AD.
LeBron cannot be tired at the end of the game. How you do that is going to depend on how you rest LeBron, which it's going to be very difficult to do that with a team that doesn't have any depth. So unless Gabe Vincent or Spencer Dinwiddie can supplant those 12 minutes that he wouldn't play, I'd say if he played 36 minutes on the average, I think that's a good way to keep him healthy through the whole game. But Gabe Vincent and Spencer Dinwiddie in those 6 minutes need to replace LeBron in points. We talked about Spencer Dinwiddie coming to LA. We said we need him to help a little bit when LeBron is sitting. Lately, I've been seeing LeBron sitting or AD sitting. It's not good. And it's going to get worse in the playoffs.
Taurean Prince has to hit shots in his 15 to 20 minutes.
Every player has to hit shots. I think that's a cliche that's too obvious.
I mean, but Gabe Vincent, I mean, he made half the 3-pointers that he made all season long in the last game.
This is going to have to come down to strategy. If they're in fact even during the game, if the teams are even, which they've been playing even ball up until the last few minutes, and then their stars distance themselves from the Lakers. A lot of that is because the Denver Nuggets are just like Floyd Mayweather, where they let you think that you got them, and then they start striking. And then when you're trying to combat that, you're already burnt out. It's almost the same strategy that they've been playing for the last 2 years. So it's going to be Darvin Ham's job to figure out if he can work out of that. But at the same time, I don't know if he has the talent off the bench to really do anything about it. So that's why the starters need to the young guys. And yes, AD is young, and if he's injured, this series is over anyways. If he's really injured, where he can't, if he plays like he played in the first 3 quarters against New Orleans, the Lakers are not going to win the series. We need a healthy AD, and we need a healthy AD that is dominant, or you're not going to win this. Unless, of course, D'Angelo, Rui
comes in there with a chip on his shoulder because of what happened in the last year's World.
If he wants to make up for it because he has this proverbial chip, okay, cool. Then let's roll with it. But Austin, D'Angelo, and Rui, if they're hitting at a 45% clip, that would obviously make things much, much easier for them.
Well, again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. Don't forget, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll be on with L. Rob, hoping to get other individuals involved. So as we preview the first round of the NBA playoffs, including, again, a little bit more on the Lakers and, of course, the Nuggets, of course. But before we head out, before we talk about a little bit more about the Lakers and Nuggets, I do want to bring a couple things up since JSJ mentioned it, and also as well, it's been the talk of what's been going on since they were eliminated earlier this week. But I first want to go ahead and mention the Team USA roster. Team USA, Grant Hill announced the Olympic team, NBA Olympic team, with LeBron, Curry, Durant, Embiid, Booker, Tatum, Davis, Halliburton, Edwards, and Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo, and Kawhi Leonard, my friend. I would have put Kyrie Irving, the way he's playing, ahead of Tyrese Halliburton. But otherwise, I really can't argue with that. It's just so funny how they didn't mention Kawhi Leonard the first day, and then when they re-announced it the next show, Kawhi Leonard was there. What do you know?
Why is that? I was surprised with that pick.
Yeah, I don't know. I just maybe they didn't get a confirmation from him until they had announced it, and maybe he was like, "Oh, my butt hurt, so I'm going to go ahead and I want to be a part of it now."
I was surprised that Kawhi Leonard got put on that team. He's going to spend another postseason being out again, and the last thing he needs is more basketball during the summer if he wants to continue his career. So I'm not sure exactly what the premise of him being on this team means.
Exactly. I'd still would have put Irving ahead of Halliburton. I think Halliburton, you saw once he had that hamstring injury, he went down.
Well, they have plenty of scorers on that team. Halliburton's a distributor, so that makes sense.
Irving can pass too. Irving is a player. He's
more of a scoring guard. Halliburton's more of an initiator and a point guard, so it makes sense. They have enough scorers on that team without Kyrie.
But I have a feeling if somebody gets hurt in the playoffs or somebody backs out, which is possible because you have a lot of old guys on that team, Joe, then I'm sure Kyrie will get the call. So,
Alan, go into the go on a boat into the Atlantic and jump. That's what your worth is. Go ahead.
The second thing I wanted to ask you about, but yes, because JSJ wanted to know your thoughts on the Olympic team. Again, I have to see it. Who actually goes to Paris? I think is the ultimate question is on that as far as how that gets answered come the Olympics. But when it comes right down to it, Joe, there's another team that there's a lot of talk about, and that's the Golden State Warriors. I had said last year when the Lakers eliminated the Golden State Warriors that they're done. The dynasty ended the day the Lakers eliminated the Golden State Warriors. Maybe you could even say before if you want. That's fine. Well, they got destroyed on the road at Sacramento, and their season is over. Everybody's making the excuses now. They want to keep Klay, even though he went 0 for everything in that game. They say, "Oh well, it was because Draymond Green was, suspended for what 25 games or whatever, how many games he was out," making all these excuses. I watched our good friends at Let's Go Warriors, and Rich was there. He was talking and trying to be very polite to the chat. The chat was not being very polite to him, but he was trying to be polite to the chat in regards to the Golden State season, a lot to look forward to, et cetera, et cetera, trying to put a good spin on it. So, your thoughts, my friend? Is Golden State done? Should they break this up and get this over with and move on and try to reevaluate the team from there?
Well, they have no. They already dug their own coffin hole for their coffin by signing Draymond Green when he was toast, even the year they won the championship. And if they want to sign Klay Thompson to, let's say, a two-year deal as a thank you and see if they can run it again, go ahead and do it. Klay is just not that guy. Klay probably needs to play a lot more like Kawhi Leonard can play. Probably play 50 games during the year and play on a team that can go win without needing him to be an integral part of the team, which means likely he needs to come off the bench. He didn't like that early in the year, and I didn't like his. I've always loved Klay. I thought he was a guy that would tell you the real answer and speak from the heart, the head, all at once. He was asked a very good question towards the end, or the first question he got asked at the press conference, and he started whining. I thought that was kind of stupid on his part. What the hell? No one cares about what you did this year and what you didn't accomplish shit. So why would any reporter ask, "Oh, how was your season?" I mean, that's kind of stupid to get mad at a reporter asking, "What's your future looking like here?" And I think that answer and that attitude was he knows it's over. He knows he's likely not coming back. I wouldn't be signing Klay Thompson, and I'd be trading Draymond Green this summer, and that's the end of it. There would be no discussion. If Steph Curry has a problem with that, then Steph Curry needs to sit down with management and get into that mindset that you need. Do you want to continue to try to go after maybe title 5 and 6, or do you want to play with your buddies? Because one of your buddies is a continuous ass who keeps getting suspended, and he's not even good anymore. Not what he used to be. So Steph Curry needs to start understanding that there's a process here that needs to start going on, and if he's not going to be with it, and they're going to sign Klay for us Laker fans, hey, go ahead and keep paying old guys that can't play anymore. Good, that's one less team we got to worry about. But Golden State's going to have to make a tough decision, and the tough decision is you can't pay Klay money. You gotta go get somebody.
Yeah, I was saying in the chat that I thought Grayson Allen, when he signed for 17.5 million per year for a 4-year deal, I thought that was for him as the guy who led the league in 3-point shooting. I thought that was not the smartest move. I thought he could make more out in the open market, but obviously he felt comfortable in his situation in Phoenix. But I put that as probably an evaluator for what Klay might have to be signed for, what he would ultimately be asked for by Golden State. I think his value might even be less than that. You might be talking somewhere between 10 and 15, because certainly the 30 to 40 million dollars a year he was looking for at one period of time is gone, Joe. That ship has sailed. It sailed, and it even sailed much further when he went 0 for 10 on Tuesday.
The issue is, who are they going to get this summer that's going to matter? Can they find someone that will make a difference to where they can go on a run? The answer is no. They don't have draft picks like Oklahoma City does. They don't have players that they can package and go get someone like Spider out in Cleveland if indeed that is an option. If you go get someone like Trae Young, I think it's just too redundant. A player like Steph, that one is a little too redundant. So they're not there. There isn't anyone really out there that would make them instantly better using the assets that they have. They're going to have to just let it go and probably be middle of the road and hope that there's a free agent that might come to them, which is rare nowadays, especially with the new collective bargaining agreement. Or you get lucky in the draft, which is, it's always tough to play that game.
Ron, there's absolutely no way on God's green earth Golden State is picking up that 30 mil option for Chris Paul. I think it's like a $1 million buyout. I think by right around the time of the free agency, you'll see that. But yeah, there's absolutely no way they will pick up $30 million for Chris Paul. That is never in question. When they traded for Chris Paul, Joe, yeah, there's absolutely no way they had any intentions of keeping him for that price.
No.
Well, Ron's was asking that. I'm like, no, there's absolutely no chance. Yeah, it's a $30 million. It's either $30 million or a $1 million buyout. Now, they may try to re-sign him if they like that option, but he's a backup point guard or maybe at best a starting point guard, unless you've got a really, like, for instance, a Phoenix team where you're star-studded at almost every other position. You know, if you've got that type, that second apron team, and you've got a hole at your point guard, you may be able to get by with Chris Paul. But I see him as what he served as this year for Golden State, a guy coming off the bench for the rest of his career.
And he can't really play a full 82. I don't think his body or his legs are going to, his shredded leg is going to let him do that.
Well, he said he talked to his family. He said he wants to play another year. So,
no, he can play another year. He just can't play like Klay Thompson used to play. That's the sad thing about. It's a sad thing. His career changed in 2019. That last game against Toronto in Game 6. Everything changed after that, and he was fairly young too. That's the tough part. I mean, they won a championship since then, which it's nothing to sneeze at. He's a 4-time champion. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's the second greatest shooter I've ever seen in my basketball life. I know that there's some arguments there for Ray Allen or Reggie Miller. I think I'd take Klay Thompson over anyone other than Steph Curry. And it's just not everybody can play like as long as LeBron can, guys. That's an anomaly. Those things don't happen, even if the stuff is state of the art. Look at Blake Griffin. You know, he's finally retired after 15 seasons, and he was a shell of himself in year 11. If a lot of these guys live with their athleticism, and then that's it. Then there's guys like Klay Thompson who have freak injuries that ruin it, or you have the guys that can play 15, 16 years, but they'll be role players those last 3-4 years. And then you got LeBron James that you've never seen a player ever do the things he's done this late, ever. And this is not Tom Brady playing quarterback in the NFL. You would think that playing football would be more rigorous, but with the rules being what they are in the NFL, it's a lot easier to play quarterback that late because of the rules. You're going to start seeing it more and more too. It's a lot easier in football because there's protection there. In the NBA, there is no protection. LeBron still has to guard people. He still has to handle the ball. He's still going to get roughed up under the basket. He's still going to be guarded, wherever he is, in an aggressive or whatever manner. It's a lot. 82 games a year, plus playoffs, plus preseason, plus practices. It's a testament to his dedication, but it's also a genetic thing. Those who don't understand genetics forget that there are some people out there born different. They're just born different. Their bodies are different. How the hell is Ray Lewis still walking around doing what he did for 20 years? Bruce Matthews played every position on the offensive line for 19 years in an era where they did not protect you. His brother, Klay Matthews Sr., played 17 years in a time where they didn't care about anything other than destroying people for 17 years. Their father played in the NFL in the 50s and 60s for 14 seasons. Some people are born different. They have different ligaments, different muscles. They can just handle it. Hell, look at Ric Flair. Survives plane crashes, wrestled in over, 30,000 matches. Drank enough alcohol to fill up the Pacific Ocean. How is his liver still alive? Some people are born different.
Yeah, we don't want to know about CTE with him. We want to know what makes his liver tick. That's what I would want to find out the most.
Well, I don't think Ric Flair took a lot of head stuff.
No, but you're still, again, I was just using that as an example.
Yeah, it's true. But I think when you think about those guys, the ones that really did it correctly, the illusion was good.
And Bag and Dragon, you're right. He had a certain cookie cutter, like you said, style of doing things. The Flair flop, the Flair bumps. He had a certain way of doing things. It's still back in the 80s. If you watch those matches, still enthralled matches. It became more of a joke as time went on, especially when he tried to do that earlier this century. But still, at the time in the 80s and in the 90s, he was, or at least the early 90s, I should say, he was the man. And, his style, even though if you're familiar with what he was doing, you would know what his next move would be even before he did it. But again, you cannot fault him for doing it, and you can't fault the success that he had in doing it because of how he elevated the other individual involved he would ever be wrestling with. So yeah, it just, again, that's the thing is, though, I still, like you said, about the liver. That man could drink virtually anyone underwater, except for Andre. Andre, I think, would probably be Andre the Giant. So, but need I digress. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glass. And before we get some final thoughts for this evening, I wanted to go ahead. Joe, did you catch by in the news some unearthed footage of something you have long talked about here on the show, The Sopranos, in a little bit different fashion, something relating to LeBron James, as some unearthed footage that was made around 2010 with James Gandolfini reprising Tony Soprano with Edie Falco in a recruitment video for LeBron James to go to the New York Knicks when he became a free agent. Your thoughts on that, my friend, before we head on out?
I thought it was funny that the Knicks would do that, considering Gandolfini was from New Jersey. But they did a Tobey Maguire one for LA, which was pretty pathetic. Although I will admit that James Gandolfini is a little different. I'm not trying to dog on Tobey Maguire, but James Gandolfini is a different beast. I have to admit, I was surprised he never went to New York.
I mean, he's always spoken about it so well. You remember earlier this year with the hourglass and coming in there with the Nick colored shoes and the Nick colored, the Nick towel he had on there. And of course the New York Knicks colored.
I don't think he's a New York. I don't think he's a New York guy. His personality isn't New York. Most New Yorkers right now, Aaron Judge. Who else is really popular in New York right now? That's the difficult part.
Soto.
Right? Soto, maybe. Yeah, I could see him. Juan Soto might be New York.
Brunson is huge right now.
Brunson is very good, but he's not that guy. He's not the MVP type in my
Okay,
book.
well, he's a top 5 MVP vote for me. I'll leave it
Yeah,
there.
I don't know about that, but again, my definition of MVP is a little different. But yeah, there hasn't really been like a Derek Jeter, a Don Mattingly. Like, there's very few of those guys in New York, and LeBron, I don't think is a New York guy. He definitely could be. He's definitely an LA guy. I think LA is a little more laxed. He's more laxed. He outgrew Akron. He outgrew Cleveland. I don't know. I still don't understand why they keep saying he's at home in Cleveland. That's like saying I'm at home in Sacramento when I'm from San Jose. It doesn't sound right. But I would have been touched. I would have been touched if Tony Soprano and Mrs. Soprano were asking me to come to New York. But that's a hard one to explain because I'm a Laker fan. I'd be more apt to getting them since they're Hollywood and LA is Hollywood. Hey, why don't you get James and Edie to talk? Hey, come to the Lakers. This is where Hollywood is, and that's where they are. That's where they work.
Well, we'll see, my friend. But is the Lakers and the Nuggets? They're coming at you at 5:30 on Saturday, and we'll go ahead and make sure we give it all to you right here at the Lakers Fast Break, starting with, of course, the pregame. Then you could follow along with us with the scoreboard and the chat on playback.tv/ Lakers Fast Break, the post game, and then, of course, Joe Soro hitting with the nightcap. My friend, I think the key a lot will go to the starting lineup. Obviously, there's a predominant, has to be there. But what I ask you is this: how important is it for Rui, who has proven this year he is more towards the player we saw in the playoffs than the player he once was, the inconsistent player he once was in Washington, and the guards? How important is their play in this series?
It's important. Every player right now is important, especially the starters. Because a lot of things can happen if they win this series. A lot of things can open up. I don't know if it's gonna take it all out of them too. There's a possibility that could happen as well, but we're gonna have to see how it develops. There's gonna need to be a third player that plays out of his mind for the Lakers to win this series. If I had to give an assessment on what needs to get done for the Lakers to win the series, the two stars need to do their thing, but they need a third guy that just plays out of his mind, and not just one game. We're talking about an entire series. The proverbial X factor. And it's going to likely be someone that can make shots that does it. Unless you can stop Jamal Murray, hold him to 5-6 points below his average, sure. Can Gabe Vincent do that? Probably not. But if that's something that happens on a surprise, yeah.
Because you won't have Vanderbilt there. I know a lot of people have been just like on pins and needles. I don't know. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's coming in cold. Even if he comes at some point in time in the series, which he will not be available for game one. I'm pretty sure that, it already been indicated if that was the case. Even if he comes at some point in time in the series, I just don't think you're going to get much out of a guy that's coming in cold like that, Joe. Getting up to NBA speed, with the kind of things that he has to do, his one-on-one defensive skills, I just don't know how much he will give you from this point forward. In fact, getting him or Christian Wood coming back, I don't know if those guys will give you anything at all in the playoffs. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but we'll have to wait and see. But I would not count on them. I know a lot of people are, and I just think you're misguided in doing so. Be happy when they come in.
The two guys are going to lead the way, LeBron and AD.
Yeah.
LeBron needs to play like LeBron can, but he can't play for 40 minutes the way he used to. So he's going to need help, and the help is going to need to come from AD and all his shooters.
Yeah.
This is a total team effort. The starters have to play. They have to play like the 2014 San Antonio Spurs. Just a freaking machine. If they do that, there's a huge chance that they can take this. And if they can take it in 6, they likely won't be as burnt out as they normally would. It's going to be very difficult, though. I have no gauge on it. I'm going to have to see what happens here the first 2 games.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you and I were definitive in our thoughts about this all year long, as far as the Lakers don't, they go up against Denver, it's over, whatnot. We were clearly saying that. We didn't want to get anybody's hopes up, and we were definitive in that. Now, the way they played, you know what? And plus the fact that Denver against San Antonio has showed some cracks over the past couple weeks. You never know. But again, I have to see, like you, what's going to go on in Denver to get a better idea on if the Lakers can be competitive in this series. But we'll go from there. So you guys out there have got a lot of hope, and that's always good. And we're here to go ahead and support it with you. It is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. I will be back tomorrow. At least L-Rob, that I know. Maybe Joe, if he's available.
I will not be available tomorrow, and there's a chance I might not be available Saturday.
Ooh, okay. All right. So the nightcap is in peril. We'll see. All right. But the post game will be there. And also, of course, playback.tv /Lakers Fast Break. So
I'll be traveling this weekend, so I have to see what will transpire.
What will transpire indeed? Well, what will transpire against the Denver Nuggets for the Los Angeles Lakers, we will see, but we'll go ahead and share our thoughts on the playoffs and the Lakers and Nuggets even more tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And of course, you can follow it right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.